The knock on my door came at 11:47 p.m. on a cold, rainy Thursday night. It wasn't the kind of knock someone makes when they're visiting. It was desperate. Uneven. Almost frantic. By the time I opened the door, I was completely unprepared for what I was about to see. Standing there beneath the flickering porch light was my ex-girlfriend's younger sister, soaked from head to toe, clutching two worn suitcases with trembling hands. Her mascara had streaked down her face, her eyes were swollen from crying, and she looked like someone who had run out of places to go. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and helping people even when life gets complicated, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs a reminder that good people still exist, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. The last time I had seen her was nearly 3 years earlier, when my relationship with her sister had exploded into one of the most painful breakups of my life. Back then, she had been cheerful, sarcastic, and always smiling. The young woman standing on my porch now looked completely different. Broken. Exhausted. The words that finally escaped her lips felt almost impossible to process. She said her sister had kicked her out and asked if she could stay with me. I stared at her, convinced I had heard wrong. Out of all the people in the world, why would she come to me? My ex and I hadn't spoken in years. The breakup had been ugly. Accusations, misunderstandings, and wounds that never fully healed had ended something I once believed would last forever. Afterward, I moved to a different neighborhood, changed jobs, and spent years rebuilding a life that no longer included her. Yet somehow, here stood her younger sister asking for help. I should have said no. Honestly, it would have been easier. But something in her eyes stopped me. It wasn't manipulation. It wasn't guilt. It was fear. The kind of fear someone carries when they genuinely don't know where they'll sleep that night. Without another question, I stepped aside and let her in. The warmth of the house seemed to hit her all at once. She nearly collapsed from exhaustion. I found towels, made hot tea, and set up the guest room. She barely touched the tea before falling asleep on top of the blankets. That night I sat alone in my living room, staring at the rain running down the windows. Nothing about the situation made sense. The next morning, the truth began to emerge. Her name was Emily. And the story she told me shattered every assumption I had made. After my breakup with her sister, life inside their family slowly fell apart. Their father lost his business. Medical bills started piling up after their mother's illness. Stress turned into constant fighting. The family became divided. While Emily struggled to finish college and work part-time jobs, her older sister became increasingly focused on herself, chasing success and social status while distancing herself from everyone who reminded her of their difficult past. For years Emily tried to keep the family together. She helped pay bills. She drove her mother to appointments. She sacrificed opportunities because someone always needed her. But eventually, the burden became too heavy. Then came the argument. The final one. According to Emily, it started over money and ended with words neither sister could take back. By the end of the night, her sister told her to leave. Immediately. No discussion. No compromise. No second chance. Just leave. And somehow, after hours of walking through the city carrying her luggage, she remembered something I had told her years earlier. Back when she was 17 and struggling through a difficult period, I had once told her that no matter how hard life became, everyone deserved at least one safe place to go. She never forgot it. Neither did I. Over the next few days, Emily stayed in the guest room. I expected things to feel awkward. Instead, they felt strangely natural. She helped cook. She cleaned without being asked. She spent most evenings searching for apartments and jobs online. Yet despite her efforts, I could see the weight she carried. The heartbreak wasn't just about being homeless. It was about losing family. Every time her phone remained silent, her expression grew a little sadder. Every day she hoped her sister would call. Every day she didn't. One evening I found her sitting alone on the back porch staring at the sunset. The sky was painted orange and gold, but she looked completely disconnected from its beauty. People often think heartbreak only comes from romantic relationships. They're wrong. Some of the deepest wounds come from family. The people we expect to love us no matter what. The people who know us best. The people whose rejection hurts the most. Weeks passed. Then months. Emily found a job at a local bookstore. The pay wasn't amazing, but it gave her something priceless. Independence. Slowly, she started smiling again. The dark circles under her eyes faded. The laughter returned. The confidence came back. And as I watched her rebuild her life piece by piece, something unexpected happened. I began healing too. For years I had carried bitterness toward her sister. I told myself I had moved on. But helping Emily forced me to revisit memories I had buried. The anger. The disappointment. The unanswered questions. Yet somehow, through her, I began letting those things go. Not because they no longer mattered. But because holding on to them wasn't helping anyone. One Saturday afternoon, nearly 6 months after she arrived, we were organizing old books in the garage when Emily suddenly stopped what she was doing. Tears filled her eyes. She told me that she hadn't thanked me properly. I laughed and told her it wasn't necessary. But she shook her head. She explained that when she stood on my porch that rainy night, she had already been rejected by nearly everyone she trusted. Friends had stopped answering. Relatives made excuses. People she had helped countless times suddenly disappeared. She said I was the only person who opened the door. The only one. Hearing that hit me harder than I expected. Because the truth was, I hadn't done anything extraordinary. I had simply chosen kindness when it was inconvenient. Yet sometimes those moments change everything. Life continued moving forward. Emily saved money. She planned for the future. For the first time in years, she seemed hopeful. Then, almost exactly 8 months after arriving, something happened neither of us anticipated. Her mother called. Not her sister. Her mother. The conversation lasted nearly 2 hours. When it ended, Emily looked emotionally exhausted. But there was also relief in her eyes. Her mother had finally admitted what everyone secretly knew. The family had broken long before the argument. Years of pain, pride, and unresolved resentment had pushed everyone apart. And now everyone was paying the price. A few weeks later, another call came. This time from her sister. The sister who had kicked her out. The sister who hadn't spoken to her for months. The sister I hadn't heard from in years. Emily spent hours debating whether to answer. Eventually she did. The conversation was difficult. Painful. Messy. There were tears on both sides. There were apologies. There were explanations. And there was one truth neither could avoid. They missed each other. Family bonds are strange. Sometimes they survive things that should destroy them. Sometimes they break over things that seem small. But when both people are willing to face the hurt honestly, healing becomes possible. Their relationship didn't magically return to normal. Trust takes time. Forgiveness takes effort. But it was a beginning. And beginnings matter. A year after that rainy night, Emily stood in the living room holding keys to her own apartment. She had earned a promotion. Saved enough money. Built a stable life. Everything she thought she'd lost had slowly returned. Not because someone rescued her. Because she refused to give up. As she prepared to leave, I expected to feel happy. Instead, I felt surprisingly emotional. The house had grown used to her presence. The quiet jokes. The shared dinners. The movie nights. The ordinary moments that become meaningful without anyone noticing. Before she left, she handed me a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. I still keep it today. In that letter, she wrote something I will never forget. She wrote that home isn't always the place you're born. Sometimes it's the place where someone chooses to keep the door open when everyone else closes theirs. I read that sentence at least 10 times. Because it captured everything. Kindness doesn't always solve problems. It doesn't erase pain. It doesn't guarantee happy endings. But it gives people something powerful enough to keep going. Hope. Years later, Emily remains one of the strongest people I've ever known. Her relationship with her family continues to improve. Her mother is doing better. Her sister has worked hard to repair the damage she caused. And while life isn't perfect, it's real. And sometimes real is better than perfect. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes that compassion can change lives. Special request: comment below with the words, "Keep the door open," if you believe one act of kindness can completely change someone's future. Looking back, I often think about how different everything could have been. What if I hadn't answered the door? What if I had let old bitterness make the decision? What if I had convinced myself that helping wasn't my responsibility? The truth is, none of us know when we'll become part of someone else's turning point. A single conversation. A single opportunity. A single act of compassion. Sometimes that's all it takes. That stormy night didn't just change Emily's life. It changed mine too. Because it reminded me of something the world desperately needs more of. People don't always remember what you say. They don't always remember what you give. But they remember how you made them feel when they were at their lowest. And when someone arrives carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, exhausted and afraid, the greatest gift you can offer isn't money, advice, or solutions. Sometimes the greatest gift is simply opening the door. And letting them know they're not alone.